Well, good afternoon. My name is Tom Brierton. I am the head of congressional relations for the Illinois State Society, which is a longstanding nonprofit, nonpartisan society here in Washington, D.C., where we all come together to work to promote the people, the history, the culture, and all the wonderful aspects of our home state of Illinois. And today we are very honored to have with us on our webinar our Congresswoman from the 2nd District of Illinois, Representative Robin Kelly. Welcome to today's meeting with the Illinois State Society. Welcome to the interview, and thank you for joining us, Congresswoman.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's an absolute honor to be with you today. And I just wanted to thank the Society for everything that you guys do. It's always a joy to come to the events where you're giving out scholarships to and recognizing so much of our great talent from the state of Illinois. So thank you for helping to cultivate the future. So I'm ready to get started with questions if you are.
Okay, that's great. That's fantastic. And thank you for the kind words on the society and all the support that you have given us. And we're really looking forward to getting back to some of those in-person events soon.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So I think we'll start off. Obviously, it's been a very busy start to the 117th Congress, new administration, new control on the Senate side. So very much a big agenda of work. Now the American Rescue Plan has been passed, and individuals, states, municipalities, and localities are starting to see some of the relief monies parceled out under that. What are the next big picture items and priorities that you see coming for the Congress, and then also for yourself personally within that?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, we are, moving past the pandemic. And finally, I'm even saying, I see light at the end of the tunnel, thank God. But we have a lot of work to do to get the economy back on track. I just look at my own district, look at my own town, that some of the places, some restaurants, some places did not make it through the pandemic. So I think we still that's our major thing. We had to get the pandemic under control, but then we have to move on to how do we get the economy back. I think that's the next most important thing. And as you know, President Biden is trying to pass the American Jobs Plan. And, I do think, even if COVID never happened, we have a lot of work to do around infrastructure, across the United States. I think that, every single member of Congress would agree to that. They may not agree how to get there, but, agree that we need to get something passed, and also to include broadband, which we've heard a lot about.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up with broadband, because that certainly is something that we have heard a lot about in terms of talk, that when we look at infrastructure this time around, we're not just looking at the traditional roads, bridges, runways, and rails, which of course Illinois has a lot of needs there, and I know you're going to be fighting for us on that, but also some non-traditional areas such as broadband and internet security, cybersecurity, in the wake of, say, this pipeline attack. Well, one of the things that you mentioned is we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel on the COVID pandemic. I think all of us, who are anxious to get back to in-person events would be curious to see what are you hearing with regards to when the House and the Senate may be able to open their doors to the public, the school groups, the tour groups, and constituents that wish to come and visit, and everybody's back in the office. What does that picture look like, or what are you hearing from the leadership?
Well, we're not back in town, the House side, until June 15. And from my understanding that, the Democratic caucus hasn't met in person. We've done everything Zoom. And for the first time that week, we're going to meet in person, and which we're thrilled about that. I think I don't think Zoom's ever going to go away, but people are a little tired of everything being Zoom. And also now slowly, if you make the appointment ahead of time to get approval, slowly, I don't know about groups, but one-on-one meetings are starting to be allowed. There just has to be arrangements. And I think the big thing is just making sure, people are vaccinated, still trying to protect, staff, even though a lot of staff are vaccinated now. Unfortunately, we still have a number of colleagues that have chosen not to be vaccinated. So, we keep pushing for that, and we still have to wear a mask on the floor, but we're hoping that we get to the day where it's not taking a half hour to vote on every bill. It just takes so long when you're used to 5 minutes or sometimes 2 minutes. So I think in June, we'll start to see some changes, and then July will bring more changes. But I think, people's protection is, what's on the forefront of leadership's mind.
Yeah, obviously, and I appreciate that, and that does sound hopeful. And I know on that protection front, just this past week, a bill passed on the floor enhancing security protections for the House. I think that was.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about that, but yes,
Yeah.
Definitely, want to see that also, because is not only about the members, but there's so many staff that are there every single day. They're there more than we are. We need to make sure our staff feels protected also, and we don't want to see a January 6th happen ever again.
Certainly. I think we can all agree on that. Now, with regards to developments this year in Congress, a thing that all Illinoisans can be proud of is you were just recently named the vice chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee. And for those of us online here that are watching, I'll just mention the Energy and Commerce Committee is one of the top committees in the House. It's an A committee. It's a very prestigious assignment. And to be on that committee and to be named vice chair is an incredible honor. And you are not just on that committee, but also the subcommittee on health, and I believe the subcommittee on consumer protection and the subcommittee on telecommunications, all critical issues for Illinois. So if you could take a few minutes and tell us about your Commerce Committee agenda for this year and the various roles you're playing there at that committee and the subcommittee, I think we'd be fascinated to know what may be in store there.
Sure. Well, as you said, it's the oldest committee on the Hill, and I'm very proud to be on the committee. It's a popular one, but it's tough to get on. It took me 3 tries. So to become the vice chair, my second Congress, that's a great feeling. But my health portfolio is very heavy. So I do a lot of things around health disparities, maternal mortality, which is a very big issue in the United States. All the developed countries are decreasing, and unfortunately, maternal mortality is increasing in the United States. So I do a lot of work around that. And actually, Illinois just became a role model because we were able to expand coverage as far as Medicaid from 2 months to a year, the whole postpartum time, because so many things happen after 2 months. People think, oh, we had the baby and then everything's okay, but that's not really how things have turned out. And it affects all kind of women, but it affects women of color 2 to 3 times more than it affects white women who had babies, but it affects all women. So that's a very high, priority. Environmental issues. I mean, we do from soup to nuts. So energy issues, environmental issues, and some of the things are all interwoven. Consumer protection. We're looking at all the social media, Google, Facebook, and we've had them come in, and they'll still be coming in to see, how much do we get involved, what rules, do we set? Because some of the things that have happened, the fake news that's on, the bullying that goes on, people have lost their lives because of social media. Even what happened January 6th, it spread like wildfire because of social media. That's how it was planned. So we're trying to decide how much, does government get involved with, but also respecting privacy. That's a big issue that means a lot to Americans, our privacy. It means a lot to me, but also we see that we're going to have to give some type of guidelines or rules or pass some kind of bill, that deals with those issues. But so that would come under communication, and of course, technology also, but consumer protection too, because we're trying to protect the consumer. We have Kathy Castor, who's from Energy and Commerce. She's also leading on environmental and green issues, whether it's how do we make sure 20 years from now, that the water's clean, the air is clean, that, the issues around climate change, that we don't wait. We've waited a long time, but, what do we do, around those issues? So really, we're covering so many things. We talked about autonomous vehicles and electric cars, all of those things. Those are hearings that have gone on in Energy and Commerce this year. So you see, we cover the whole gamut, and hopefully we can pass some of the things that we're trying to pass, and that help with the economy, that help with, a healthier United States, that, help with the good paying jobs.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I wanted to follow up on one particular area on that, which we touched on just a hair earlier, which is broadband and access. I think that certainly one of the many things we've learned during COVID-19 is the need to have a very strong, robust internet, high-speed internet access available for everyone, regardless of geographic location, regardless of socioeconomic status. And I think that one of the things that was exposed by COVID-19 is there are still a lot of barriers that exist. And whether it's children trying to go to school with distance learning or people trying to work remotely from their job. And I know that the president's plan on infrastructure includes a significant investment in broadband. Do you have some further thoughts on that topic?
Oh, my district is urban, suburban, and rural. And my hospitals and some of my social service agencies have used telehealth for, behavioral management, for counseling and therapy, because they've had to do it. And even Riverside Hospital, I remember meeting with them around telehealth because they serve a rural community, and things that they put in place even before COVID. But we need to do everything we can around expanding broadband. We saw with e-learning, some young people in some areas, it was very difficult for them to do e-learning because they just didn't have the broadband capacity. They couldn't get online. Also, the other thing is, my husband is a doctor, and he never did telehealth. And he actually is a doctor, believe it or not, that goes into the patient's homes. And so he's been doing telehealth now for a year and a half. He loves it. And the other thing is, a lot of his patients are elderly, and they love that he would still check in with them. Sometimes my husband was the only person they saw, in a week's time or 2 weeks, so that he could still keep that, communication going was fantastic. I spoke to OBGYNs that used it, of course, not to deliver a baby, but they could still, service their patients. So it's so important, health-wise, that, we can do telehealth. And I think it also is a great equalizer with underserved areas that, if done correctly, that telehealth can, take us to healthier people. And I've spoken to doctors that said their patients keep their appointments at a much, much higher rate because they don't have to worry about transportation. They don't have to worry about missing work, missing school. They don't have to worry about childcare. It's just more efficient. It doesn't solve everything, but it's a very good step forward. So we need to, expand broadband. And I look at that as a very a bipartisan topic. I know Congressman Clyburn, I can't remember his Republican counterpart, that worked on this together and actually passed legislation in the last Congress around this issue.
Okay, fantastic. I have a question actually from one of our society members, someone who I believe you may know, Dr. John Prunskis with the Illinois
Yes, I know
Spine
him.
Institute. Yes, and Doctor raises a question about the opioid crisis in the U.S., and he sees this as reemerging. As COVID fades,
Right.
opioids is emerging back to the front of the pack in terms of issues we have to deal with, medical problems. And there is a task force, the Health and Human Services Best Practices Pain Task force final report, which has been endorsed by every medical specialty in the U.S. It needs, in the doctor's opinions, widespread recognition and implementation. So his question is, what resources are there in Congress that you can, or actions you can take to increase healthcare providers' education about the dangers of opioids and the existence and content of this report on how to potentially manage pain, without necessarily causing opioid addiction problems?
Right. Well, one of my colleagues, and I think Dr. Punkus talked to her, Annie Custer from New Hampshire, and it's a bipartisan committee around opioids. They have really focused on this issue, and I know through appropriations, there's more money being put in for resources to give care, not the people that get in trouble, not send people to jail, but give care. And also there was conversation around how can we retrain and re-educate providers to I don't know, not give so much or monitor it more, or what are other avenues that providers can do beside writing prescriptions for opioids, or what providers need to look for, just in case a patient does go, down the wrong road. Something that they are definitely tackling.
Okay, great. And one final question on the energy and commerce side of your portfolio, and that would be with regards to energy efficiency, energy conservation, climate change goals. Is the committee looking more at sort of the carrot incentive side of the equation with, things such as tax credits, rewards for, in investing in green energy? Or are you looking more at the stick side, such as, eminent domain and things of that nature, where government will be coming in and just simply either mandating something or doing a taking of some sort and saying, we're just not going to allow this anymore? What's
I
the
don't think
philosophical
it's
approach?
Sorry, I don't think it's all one way or another. I think that, there'll be a start with the carrot, but there will be some things I believe that government might, step into and say, no, we're not going to do this, or give a time period, like by, I don't know, 2025 or 2030, we can't, this will not be allowed anymore. So giving whoever needs to be given some time to, right the ship, time to do that. But I think it'll be a combination, but I'm hoping more, carrot and cooperation, because I think you get more things done like that.
Okay, great. Well, now I'm going to shift over to another area where you've made history and had a rapid rise, and congratulations on your selection as the chair of the Democratic Party of
Thank
Illinois.
you.
And obviously that's quite an achievement. And I have a couple of questions on that front. One, what was it like to engage in that race for chair and put together a winning coalition in the face of several other candidates? And then I think the other question would be that obviously prior to your accession to the chair, Democratic Party had been run by essentially the same folks for quite some time at the state level. And what types of reforms or changes are you looking to make during your time as chair that will help the Democratic Party reach voters and communicate a message to the voters that will resound with them in the coming elections?
Well, it was the most intense day, 10 days that I've had in a long, long time, maybe since when I ran in the special election for Congress. It was, we were staying up late. I had my kitchen cabinet, making phone calls, every moment that I was free to do it. So it was very, very intense. And, I had some people with me, some people against me, as that's not a secret, but I feel very honored that I was chosen. And even people that, voted against me, I have relations with them, or if I didn't, we have relations now, because I put together a transition team for the first 30 days, and we had various topics, communication, messaging, recruiting, fundraising, building the bench, things like that, program needs, recruitment, and we had some great ideas come out of those 30 days, and it was over 60 people that were involved, and even more people are still giving me ideas. So I'm excited. It is a little scary too, because you're replacing someone that's been there 23 years, and not only as the leader of the party, but the leader of the House. So that's very, very different. But I really want a more active, present, inclusive Democratic Party, more transparency, and want to build a bench, want to engage people that maybe have not necessarily felt engaged because of various reasons. We say we're a blue state, but I say we're blue, we're blurple, we're red, depending on where you are, we're a lot of different things. And so I just want people to feel included, appreciated, that their voice counts. I think more people need to vote, whether you're independent, Democrat, Republican, whatever you are. I mean, that is your voice, and people need to exercise their voice. And I'm looking for, whether it's, well, I'm looking on the Democratic side, but whether a person is Democrat or Republican and they're serving at whatever level of government, it could be library up to, the Senate. I want good government people, no one has all the ideas, and no one's right all the time, so that's what I'm looking for, good government people who are public servants. So I'm excited. Like I said, it's scary. There's a lot of work to do. Elections are right around the corner. So.
Yeah, obviously they are right around the corner. That always seems to be the case, and there'll be some significant elections in 2022. One other significant thing that's going to be happening is, unfortunately, due to population changes in the country, we're going to lose a congressional seat in Washington, and those lines are being currently hammered out down in Springfield. But I want to ask you a question from a constituent service standpoint. As a incumbent member of Congress, you obviously have the district you're representing now, who's in it, but you don't know who you're going to be representing after the next election, or where you're going to be campaigning. What kind of logistical challenges does that provide to you and your staff to make sure that everybody that needs to be taken care of in the current district is taken care of, while at the same time reaching out and acquainting yourself with new folks that you will very likely be representing, starting in January of 2023?
Sure. I mean, that is a challenge, but, we just have to step up to the plate. Constituent services is the most important thing to me. My staff knows, we have to be respectful and responsive, and they will tell you that if you ask them, how I feel. And then, it's up to me, on the other side, I guess, of my responsibilities to get out to the other parts of the district. One thing, I've worked with, a number of my colleagues, like Adam and I have, had legislation together. Bobby and I have had legislation, Bill Foster. So I've actually, worked with them, and I am familiar with some of the parts of their district also. And the one thing is, I know people in a lot of areas, because I did run statewide before, even though it was 10 years ago, but it's still some of the same people. And then working in Alexi Janulius's office, I was a chief to a statewide office. So I still have maintained, some relationships. I lived in Peoria many years, and I'm on the board of trustees of Bradley University. And I'm on the political science advisory of Northern Illinois University. So even though I may not live in those areas, I still, have my contacts, know people in quite a few areas. And now that I'm the party chair, that helps too.
Well, that's great. And then actually, I know we're running short on time, that leads to the final question I wanted to get into. Obviously your background in education is very extensive, and with an undergrad degree in psychology and a master's in counseling, surely that has to come in very handy on Capitol Hill and probably also in running the Democratic Party. But I wanted to actually to have a discussion about this school here, where we both spent some time, albeit at different times. You have a PhD in political science from Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, my alma mater. Any special memories or anything happened there notable that has helped you prepare for these many and very important roles that you currently have for your
Well,
district and your state?
I always joke that my counseling and psych helped me more in Congress, probably because you're dealing with so many people. But the funny part about Northern Illinois University, I mean, I was, went back and forth every day, so I didn't have like the campus experience. But it's been since I've graduated that my experience has been so enhanced. And that's me being involved with the Political Science Advisory Committee. And also Northern has sent me the absolute most wonderful interns. I have two this summer. I mean, interns, and then I'm a part of a mentorship program, and I've had the most wonderful mentees. I told one of the, well, he was a professor there, but he's in the administration now, that it is phenomenal, the people graduating from Northern Illinois University. And actually, my greatest joy was getting my degree and walking across that stage, but the young people that I have met and mentored, and what they've given me has been phenomenal.
Yes, that's great. And I do know of who you speak, who moved from the political science faculty into the administration. And
Yeah.
Hopefully this fall, I mean, we maybe will be able to have some of the political science students come out. I remember being at an event a couple of years ago where you and our other NIU alum, Congressman Bacon, were both stopped by there in the Rayburn building, and it was really nice to see all the Northern people out here in Washington.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like I said, they usually, I take one intern, but they needed another spot. So, and I said, no, let them come, because it's been a joy for our office. And it makes me proud.
Yes, absolutely. Congresswoman, we're coming up on 2:30, which is, I know, our agreed upon time. You have other things, obviously very important, that you need to move on to, including your committee markup. Any last words or comments? And on behalf of the society, we really would like to thank you for your time and a wonderful conversation that we've had today. I think it's been very informative, and we do look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Sure. I look forward to seeing all of you. And again, thank you for everything that you guys do. I think, you serve an important mission, and I think that even though we may come from different spectrums, is so important that we find ways to work together, for, a better state, a better country, a better world. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
You too, and be safe.